Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you had a great trading week. We certainly had some action this week. We were up higher in the beginning of the week, and then we closed lower thanks to the Goldman Sachs news. And if you don't know what that is, this is a chart of Goldman Sachs here. Goldman Sachs got charged by the SEC for fraud during the whole subprime mortgage crisis. They were giving CDOs these certain type of securities to their customers and telling them that they were buying them, but they were actually shorting them, which is fraud. So they got a civil suit against them from the SEC. And you can see when that news came out, Goldman Sachs got slammed today. It was down 13%. It did 10 times its normal volume. It lost billions of dollars in market cap today. You can see we normally do about 10 billion shares. We did over 100 million shares. So big news coming out of Goldman. And the thing is, for some reason, this market loves Goldman. It's their baby. So when something happens with Goldman, the market reacts in a negative way. If something negative happens to Goldman, something negative happens, the market reacts negatively is what I'm trying to say. So with that, I'm going to bring up the S&P 500 chart. And you can see here, this is the channel that we had been in, and we actually broke it today and traded through it, smoothly and closed below it. So definitely something to pay attention to. So it depends on what we do after this, though. If this market comes off, from here violently, then, we know that channel breaking was important to a lot of people. We may consolidate sideways. We may go back up from here. Who knows? Because what happened with Goldman is over. We're not going to react to Goldman anymore. That was Friday's news. But the market may use any other future news for a reason to sell more or to do whatever it's going to do. So that's what I always say. The market takes any news and reacts to it in any direction. So that's something that happened today. Google got slammed today on news that most people thought beat expectations. But people are saying, well, maybe they didn't beat expectations. So obviously they try to quantify what's going on, even though it doesn't make sense most of the time. So let's talk about the uptick in volume today. Today's volume was enormous in every single market. It was huge. We actually had bigger volume this whole week. I usually complain about the volume, but when we were going up, we had some pretty big volume. We were doing 5 billion shares a day in the S&P 500. But today we did over 7 billion shares in the S&P 500. That's 40% more than these other days. And even on these down days, with just these boring days over here, these not down days, these other days over here, we did like 3 billion shares. So we doubled that and then some today. So real big action. Obviously, we're not going to call this a definite sell from here. We have to see what happens, and especially in the beginning of next week, to see if we're gonna sell from here more. I want to talk about today was options expiration. You can see these red lines here going in the vertical are options expiry days, and this is the last time we usually buy up. We usually buy up into options expiration, and this is what happened last time we sold into options expiration. The market came off. And today we sold into options expiration. So what can we expect? I don't know, but maybe a down move. Now, and also I said that the market loves Goldman. Let's bring up Goldman again and show you, because if you remember that back here, there was some big news on Goldman that the market sold off on here on big volume. And this is the 21st of January. You can see it down here, 21st. Let's bring up the S&P 500 now and show you what happened on the 21st there. Bam. And you can see the market went down from there. So the market, Goldman led the way last time. Obviously there was other news that led to this correction here, but we've got some excuses to sell. We've had excuses to sell, but now we have a big excuse to sell. So let's see. I wanted to talk about the VIX really quick. A lot of people were telling me the VIX doesn't matter anymore. You don't need to follow the VIX. Well, you do. The VIX is really important. I guess those are the same people that told you that valuations don't matter during the stock market bubble of the early 2000s. The VIX matters. Today we had a huge pop in the VIX, and obviously we had that big down day today. This is the 21st right here of January. You can see what happened from there, and you can see what happened here. So, but remember, we're still not above 20, so we're still not really excited about a big down move because we haven't broken 20. Believe me, today we were up 15%, and actually at one point we were up 24%, but we didn't close above 20. We still got to get that, and it could happen sooner or later, but we'll have to see what happens. I'm not making any calls yet because it's only been one day, and it would look really foolish of me to make any kind of call based off of one day of action. This is a down day that's greater than 1%. I talked about that last time, how we hadn't had one in 30 some odd days. So finally a down day. And we haven't had higher highs and higher lows. This whole past run up, it's only been higher highs. If you look over here though, we've had higher highs and higher lows. This is a higher high, this is a higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, and so on. But here it's just been higher high every day, higher high. So it's about time it comes off a little bit. And everyone's going to try to make a reason why it's coming off, but it's just been overbought. You know, from a technical standpoint, it's just been overbought. And that's that. And I'm going to kind of tell you some trades I took on today. I shorted the euro when the news came out. That was fun because it went off pretty heavy today. And you can see actually this is like last week's action. And this is where we opened this week. We had this big gap higher because news came out over the weekend that Greece was going to get bailed out. And apparently that was a surprise to the market. At first, it traded way up and then came off because they realized, oh yeah, they're going to bail them out anyway. This isn't news. The news would be if they weren't going to bail them out. No one's surprised that they are bailing them out. So we actually ended up filling the gap today. And I'm not sure. It looks like we closed one tick below where we closed last week. So we did fill the gap and close technically right on it. So that was the euro. I shorted that. I'm already out of that trade though. I shorted the SPY when the news came out. I didn't short Goldman because I just didn't. And I also put on some put options in the SPY. And I have a hedge. I bought NASDAQ calls as a hedge just in case the market goes up. And the NASDAQ has been benefiting quite nicely from the market going up. So I went ahead and bought NASDAQ calls. And I'm bringing up the weekly chart now of the NASDAQ. And you can see we actually closed up on the NASDAQ for the week. And this is a weekly chart of the S&P 500. We closed lower this week. And actually this looks like a shooting star formation on this candle here. But we have to have confirmation. It has to go lower for us to actually call it a shooting star. If it goes higher, then we just call it I don't remember what it's called, but it's a shooting star if we go lower, and that's what we're looking for. Some lower activity here. Remember I said last week that we had 6 weeks in a row, and if we have that, it's very rare that we have that 7th week, and we didn't have that this week. So that's that for the video for this week. I'm expecting lower activity again, and I'm poised and set up for it. And also, I wanted to mention that I have the blog updated. It's derivativejoe.blogspot.com. I update it every day, pretty much, on the trades that I do or the things that I'm looking at doing. And I give some market insight every day on what I think is going to happen, the next day. So please check that out. Please check out my other videos to see what I've been talking about. And I guess go out there and make some money. If you're long, I hope you make money. If you're short, I hope you make money. And thank you and have a great week.